Arizona landed their second commitment in the class of 2018 on Sunday, as Omar Thielemans, a 6'6" wing from Belgium, pledged to the Wildcats. Thielemans joins four-star shooting guard Devin Outrive as the lone two commits in the class for Sean Miller as he looks to replace his entire starting lineup in what once was one of the best recruiting classes in the country. A big, athletic wing with the ability to pass the ball and break defenders down off the dribble, Thielemans should be the kind of player that fits in well with the way that Arizona likes to play. The club that Thielemans played for is BC Houston, which is the best club in the country. They've won the Belgian League every year since 2011 and the Belgian Cup every year since 2012. Thielemans was buried in the youth ranks, but one of the things that European clubs do with players that are interested in playing in college is to hide them until they leave or opt to sign a pro contract with a club. It seems that Steve Alford has been viewed skeptically by UCLA fans since he came to Westwood in 2013. His latest move will likely do nothing to abate those feelings. Alford fired assistant and recruiting coordinator David Grace over the weekend, and there was conflicting messages about whether it was his call or athletic director Dan Guerrero's. Alford said that Dan wanted to make the change, and the next day I talked to Dan and Dan said he never told him to make a coaching change, so I don't know where that came from, Grace told the Los Angeles Times. But Alford never said I had any deficiencies anywhere. In fact, he said I did a great job. UCLA pushed back on Grace's version of events in a statement attributed to Alford on Monday. As head coach, I am responsible for evaluating and determining what I feel will make us better as we move forward. When Dan Guerrero and I met following, we spoke about a number of areas in which we need to get better. I asked Dan if he would be supportive of a personnel change, and he indicated he would support what I needed to do to improve the program. From there, I made the decision to go in a different direction with David Grace's position. David and I have differing accounts of our conversation, but the bottom line is that I thank him for his impact here and wish him the best moving forward. However it unfolded, it appears to be a bit of a strange situation. Grace has led the recruiting operation that has landed players like Lonzo Ball, Ikan Igbok, Jalen Hands and TJ Leaf, putting UCLA's recruiting classes among the best in the country. There's also no apparent link to the FBI investigation into college basketball, as Grace said he'll be receiving a letter from UCLA stating as much. Grace was formerly the coach at the Compton Magic, one of Adidas' powerhouse grassroots programs. The whole thing seems a bit off, and it wouldn't be surprising to think there was more at play here behind the scenes that precipitated the change. What is clear is that the Bruins have been recruiting at a high level but not winning at an elite one under Alford, even with 3 Sweet 16 appearances. Alford has to be hoping this change evens those scales without sacrificing recruiting rankings. Alford hired Murray Bartow, who was the head coach at East Tennessee State and UAB for 18s, to replace Grace. We have a big off-season ahead of us, Alford said in a statement, and I know that Murray will play a major role in helping our guys get better every day. Winning a second national title opens a lot of doors for Villanova coach Jay Wright, that includes at the Vatican. Fresh off leading the Wildcats to their second title in 3 years, Wright was with a delegation from Villanova that had an audience with Pope Francis in Rome. Wright presented Pope Francis with a Villanova basketball signed by members of the Villanova team. Wright might be without Jalen Brunson and Michael Bridges next, but he may have the Pope in his corner. L'Osservatore Romano Paul via app. Oklahoma's loss was Miami's gain. Cameron McGusty will transfer into the Hurricanes program after spending the last 2 years with the Sooners, he announced Monday. First off, I would like to thank God for the opportunity to be able to play at another university, McGusty wrote on social media. Also, I want to thank my friends and family for the support they have given. With that being said, I have decided to commit to the University of Miami. First off, I would like to thank God for the opportunity to be able to play at another university. Also, I want to thank my friends and family for the support they have given. With that being said, I have decided to commit to the University of Miami. Put M upper A medium dark skin tone through pic.twitter.com/rfw7zmbnvq. Cameron McGusty at Camagusty. April 16, 2018. McGusty had a promising freshman for Oklahoma in 2016-17 when he averaged 10.9 points, but saw his role and production decline in a sophomore in which he averaged 18.5 minutes per game. The 6'5" guard shot 42.3% from the floor and 33.3% from three-point range. McGusty will have 2 years of eligibility remaining after sitting out the 2018-19 under transfer rules. The Hurricanes went 22-10 last and was ousted in the first round of the NCAA tournament by eventual Final Four participant Loyola. Noel Easton spent his freshman playing as Purdue's backup point guard, averaging 2.9 points and 2.5 boards with fewer assists than turnovers, as it took him a couple of months to the rotation of a team that had as much veteran presence on the roster as any in the country. On Monday morning, Easton declared for the NBA draft without signing with an agent. And he spent the rest of the morning getting roasted for making the decision that every underclassman with the goal of, and the talent to, one day playing in the NBA should be making. Trust me when I tell that just about every player currently on scholarship at the Division I level counts themselves in that group, whether they believe they're the next CJ McCollum or that they just need a few more shots a night to prove that they're the real talent on the roster. As of today, well over 100 college players have declared for the NBA draft. By the time the April 22 deadline comes around, that number could surpass 150. That is before you factor in the seniors that are going to get drafted and the international prospects that are going to get selected. Hell, there are a handful of American players that have declared for the draft without setting foot on a college court. You don't need to be Will Hunting to figure out that not all of those players are going to be among the 60 kids selected in June's NBA draft. But roughly a quarter of those players that have declared have actually signed with an agent, foregoing the remaining eligibility, and even a handful of those players are turning professional despite the fact that they are unlikely to get drafted. Some, like Harry Froling of Marquette, are looking to play professionally overseas. Others, like Max Montana of San Diego State, have already completed their degree and would rather pursue a professional career than pretend to care about graduate classes. All of that, however, is beside the point. 2 years ago, the NCAA changed the way that the early entry process works, allowing college basketball players to declare for the draft, work out for NBA teams and attend the NBA Combine while returning to school so long as they don't sign with an agent and pull their name out of the draft a week and a half after the Combine this year. That deadline is May 30th. The point is simple: to allow the players to truly gauge what their chances are of playing at the next level, and to get feedback directly from the mouths of NBA personnel on where they might be picked and what they would need to improve upon to better their draft standing. Sometimes, that advice can change the trajectory of a player's career. When Buddy Hield was told that he needed to become a better shooter if he wanted to last in the NBA, he spent a summer doing 4-a-days to improve his stroke, became the 2016 Co-National Player of the Year, reached a Final Four and got picked 5th in the 2016 draft. He was projected as a second-round pick a year before. And sometimes, the player declaring is barely going to hear from NBA people. That will likely be the case with Easton. A 6'7" point guard with the kind of length and athleticism that NBA teams are going to look for out of a perimeter player, Easton is still learning how to play the point at this level and, to date, is a non-shooter. He attempted just 9 threes as a freshman, and that is not going to fly for a point guard unless you're a Ben Simmons, a Rajon Rondo. Easton is neither of them. So what will happen? He'll probably struggle to find workouts, maybe getting invites to work out against other guards when teams within driving distance of Purdue's West Lafayette campus, the Pacers, the Bulls, the Cavs, etc., need a body to go up against the players they're keen on evaluating. He'll hear about how much work he needs on his jump shot and how he needs to develop as a lead guard. He'll get that information straight from the horse's mouth, and then return to Purdue next with a chance to prove what he can do as a starter. This is precisely why the rule was changed. Because this is what's best for the kids, even if there are players, like Easton, who we all know are a ways away from being draftable. Georgetown landed a pair of massive commitments on Monday, as a former UConn recruit and a former NC State player both pledged their future to the Hoyas. The first was James Akinjo, a 6-foot point guard from California that was initially committed to UConn. A 4-star prospect, Akinjo committed to the Huskies after he won MVP honors at the 2017 Peach Jam with the Oakland Soldiers, but reopened his recruitment when Kevin Ollie was fired. Akinjo will provide immediate depth for the Hoyas at the point guard position, although he's more of a long-term prospect than he is a player that can change the course of the program next. On Monday afternoon, Georgetown announced that Omer Yurtseven, a 7-foot native of Turkey that played the past twos for Kevin Keatts and NC State, had signed scholarship papers with Georgetown. Yurtseven averaged 13.5 points, 6.7 rebounds and 1.8 blocks as a sophomore with the Wolfpack. He'll be eligible in 2019-2020 and have 2s left to play. I needed a big man coach and I don't think anybody is better than Patrick Ewing when it comes to the experience he has as a player, Yurt7 told ESPN. Ewing has also signed 6'9" forward Grayson Carter, 6'6" forward Josh LeBlanc and 6'2" guard Matthew McClung.